Van Damme, Richie Sposato, game 2 of the stepladder final on the Brunswick lanes here at Lelystaad. And the sequence broken in frame 6 as you rejoin us. Sposato had opened with a straight 5, leaves a 10-pin this time. Has already had the highest game of the tournament so far in qualifying. That was a 2.79. So for the first time in this match against Van Damme, Sposato has a spare to cover. It's the 10-pin down to the right, and he's there, no problems at all. Right on the nose. So Sposato looking good here after 6 frames against the Belgian. Plays for the Schiedam club in Holland, although he is a Belgian by birth. And must feel pretty at home in that club side, because virtually the whole Belgian team is represented in Schiedam. Plays with Jean-Marc Lebon, Gary Verbruggen, Mark Wildemeersch, and the Van Eycken brothers. Drawing down more support here behind the approaches than the American, who's come into this tournament pretty much an unknown factor. Most of the crowd here certainly won't have seen Richie before. He was up in Gothenburg with us last November for the Mats Carlsen Classic, just getting a feel for the European big time, where he joined William Ravra in that tournament. So Van Damme's down by 30 at the midpoint. And he's working behind the spare in frame 6. Just squeezed into the telecast final, incidentally, qualified in 5th place, but level with Freddie de Beer. The Dutch bowler, oh, bad break in the 7th, leaves the big 4-6. Same score with de Beer at the end of the round robin. But Eve had a higher scratch score. In other words, Fedde's score was boosted by his bonus pins. And the rules say that the higher scratch score finishes above the player with more bonus points. So out went De Beer, in came Yves Van Damme. He's already seen off the winner of this tournament in 1989, André Reierse. And he's not going to be too happy to see that big open frame in the 7th. Reflecting back off the scoreboard at him. Not with Sposato in this kind of form. See how he prepares with a side-on approach to the foul line. And even from that camera angle, we get some idea of the big hook as he brings the ball back from the extreme outside board. And a better chance to see in slow motion there the delivery, how the ball is cupped in the palm of the hand. And the fingers doing the work. With Richie Sposato, the thumb has no place in his game. Highest score of the tournament, as we told you, the 2.79, averaging 2.09 to qualify here in 3rd place. Not the only man in the world bowling like this, but certainly I think I'm confident in saying the only guy in Europe at the moment. And those strikes just keep on coming through 7 and 8. He's just faltered fractionally in frame 6. But he seems to have this one well in the bag. That's a good finishing position. Long arm extension, good balance. Head still. The only thing that Richie is not too happy about down here is the slip and slide on the approaches. He doesn't look for as much deep slide into the foul line as the more conventional bowlers. And I think Van Damme's head's gone down a little bit since the open last time out. That was a very tired delivery indeed. And he's left himself another difficult spare conversion this time, the 6-10. Well, the sort of conversion that Van Damme would put down in training 9 times out of 10 throughout the week. Oh, but it's a different matter, of course, when you're in front of the TV cameras and a big crowd and you're playing for a lot of money and a place in the final. So he chops off the 10-pin, leaves the 6 standing, and that's an open frame for Van Damme. Has had 1 sanctioned 300 game in his career, won't be getting it this weekend. And incidentally, we had 2 cars up for grabs for any bowler lucky enough to roll the perfecto. 2 Volvos, they're going to go unclaimed certainly in this match. And they'll be returning to the garage if nobody gets the big 300 here in Lelystaad. 145 at the end of frame 8. Well, the best he can hope for now is 205. And in the 8th frame, another strike here would more or less put Sposato over the finishing line. Sposato then in frame 8. Excuse me, the strikes here are really coming through thick and fast from the American. That was frame 9. 5-step approach. Look for some good pin action there. Off the wall, across 10, no touch. And for the second time in this match, leaves himself with a 10-pin conversion for the spare. Now, there can be sometimes a problem for the right-hander with the big hook. Not proving so today. 208 at the end of the 8th, the best that Van Damme could roll out with if he strikes through the 10th is 205. There's your winner. Richie Sposato qualifies 3rd and sees off the challenge of the Belgian Van Damme, who just squeezed into this stepladder final against the unlucky Freddy de Beer after those 2 players had finished level on pin aggregate. Name of Richie's business on the back of the bowling shirt there. He's christened the ball he's developed the buzzsaw. And he certainly was sawing a path through those pins there once again in the 10th frame. It's another big game coming up from Sposato, around about the 250 mark. We'll get an idea of just where the toes are pointing at the beginning of the run-up. It's a stuttering 5-step approach, but it pays dividend, and that's another good finish from Richie Sposato. That ball, incidentally, is putting something like 25 to 28 revolutions down the lane, where the conventional bowler is rolling 16 or 18 revolutions into the pins. So you can see the dynamics working in that ball as it carves its way through the pocket. And Richie showing that he can take down 7 pins as well to roll out a 248 finishing score, which is more than enough to see off his opponent in this second match of the stepladder. Bearing in mind, of course, with 25 plus revolutions going down the lane, a lot more can go wrong, of course. But Richie has perfected the art of bowling without the thumb, and why not indeed? So Van Damme just left to fill out the 10th. And happy, I should think, now to get off the lanes. But going back to his opponent here, Sposato, coming up trumps just over a year ago, February of last year, when he won his first tournament bowling with this new adapted style. That was the Budweiser Super Bowl in New York. Now that's interesting, because Van Damme, knowing he's lost, hasn't put the thumb in that one. He's put it in the channel, so a wry smile from Van Damme. I think Richie was one of the few people in the centre to notice that. Van Damme coming up at the end of the 10th and just trying to emulate Sposato's style there, but it still needs a bit more fine-tuning before the Belgians got it correctly. So it's a win for Richie Sposato, 2-4-8, 1-7-5. The man qualifying in third place is through to the next match up against Ian Shahid, who qualified second. And don't forget, defending champion Phil Scammell, waiting to meet the winner of that one. Londoner Ian Shahid representing Great Britain, who qualified in second place. The next opponent for Richie Sposato, the American, who we've just seen brushing aside Yves van Damme with another big game at 2-4-8. And he really is the man with the hot hand this weekend in Lelystaad. We're joining the game against Shahid in frame 6. And Sposato really picking up where he left off before the break with a strike in the 6. And that gives him a turkey through frames 4, 5 and 6, and at the moment has a 14-pin advantage over this man. Ian Shahid, first time we've picked him up on the telecast this season, but he has been over here for most of the stops on the Dutch Masters Tour. And he also has a turkey through 4, 5 and 6. So he has one spare more than his opponent at the moment, who has, from the first 6 frames, 5 strikes and a spare, and that gives Ian 4 strikes and 2 spares, meaning he's 11 pins down as we come into frame 7. Ian Shahid, 29 years old. Be very interesting if he does put the American out here, because he'll meet Phil Scammell in the championship game, and he says that Scammell is his favourite bowler. And incidentally, he hasn't been defeated by Scammell in over 4 years of round-robin play. And that's something not lost on Scammell, who christens this man the Animal. Frame 7, the first slip up from Shahid. Loose shot leaves him the bucket conversion. Another one with a 5-step approach. Has an altogether different finishing position, however, than Richie. Another right-hander. Began bowling at the age of 12, has had a couple of sanctioned 300 games in his career. Difficult conversion this, and there's one of the reasons why. Just gets a little loose to the right-hand side of the bucket and has an open in frame 7. Mickey Ross offering some words of wisdom, a little advice. Well, Ian, who got married 9 months ago, devoting less of his time to club bowling and practice bowling. But when he finds himself up for tournaments, does somehow seem to keep getting it right. He's already come out on the winter tour here and won a couple of cars this year, would you believe? In fact, we saw him on Screen Sport with one of those, an Audi 80, at the Glass City tournament pre-Christmas. Well, since then he's gone on and picked up a VW Golf as well in the spring. Nice work if you can get it for Ian, who incidentally works in a car tuning workshop. So he knows all about cars, and he certainly knows all about bringing out the big games when it matters. At 300 at the Glass City tournament pre-Christmas, winning him the Audi 80, and then another one in the garage. I hope he's got a big one at home. A VW Golf in the spring of this year. Top 30 averaging just below the 199 pace here for the weekend, and the top 10 208.6. Well, 248 was the score for this man in his previous game. He's in frame 8 here, and he's certainly going to be somewhere around about the 240 mark again if he keeps bowling with this sort of consistency. He's hardly missed the pocket since he came out in front of the cameras for this stepladder final. He really has got that big hook working here on the lanes at Lelystaad. Clearly loves the conditions. Fills the spare in frame 7 with a strike in the 8th and has 168 to 142 Ian after the open in the 7th when he missed the bucket shot. Has had a 2.54 here this weekend. That's not bad going either. But he's down at the moment by 26 pins with the frames beginning to run down. That's a bad break as well. Had it through the pocket, but just didn't quite get the pin reaction he was looking for, and he's left a solid 10. This time he takes down the 10, but it's going to leave him a lot to do and needs a big finish through 9 and 10 here if he's to go past the American. Had a fine start to the month of April, was a member of the winning Admirals 4-man team, which took the Fosters Transatlantic Fours at the Nottingham Bowl. Best finish this year on the Dutch Masters was 6th last autumn in Eindhoven at the Summer Gold Cup. That was the first stop out on the tour. And he hasn't finished in the top 10 since, but has, of course, those 2 cars to his credit. So it certainly hasn't been a bad season at all for Ian by any means. Foundation frame for Scheid and has a strike in the 9th. So he has the advantage of finishing, but will know what he has to do after these 2 throws from Richie Sposato. And I have a feeling that if Sposato keeps up the momentum here, then it's all over. And nothing that Scheid can do in the 10th will get him back into this match and into the final, incidentally, as well, against Britain's Phil Scammell. Well, that's the first really loose one we've seen from Richie. He didn't trust the shot. And he's nowhere near as close to the right channel as he has been when bowling full of confidence, and why not indeed. He's really been trusting the arm and putting it way out right and bringing it back through the pocket. That time he seemed to slow the ball down and just got a little hesitant in the release and pulled it in across the headpin, and he's left himself this shot for the spare. And that's a great conversion. The crowd really liking that one. Well, he had the 4-7 down to the left, as you saw, and the 3-6-9-10. You don't often see that combination in 10-pin. And a rare opportunity to see that one being taken out by this man. Sposato at the moment simply cannot miss. So he gets away with his spare in the 9th. And you can see there the difference coming into frame 9, the foundation. Well, 26 pins. That advantage now cut to 16. Still needs a good finish. If he opens here, then certainly Scheid will see a big shaft of light. That may just get him into the stepladder final. Oh, Sposato looks a bit mean to me. He's taking time over this one. Now, will he trust it? Yep, did so, but leaves himself the 10-pin. Still needs to cover this shot and make sure he fills in the 10th with the bonus ball. Now, if he misses here, then he'll finish with 2-1-6. And Ian is working on a strike in the 9th. Can certainly get past Sposato with another strike at the top of the 10th. And just getting a pin removed there from the gutter. So Sposato does need this spare, and then another 6 pins will put him out of reach. But this is the killer shot. He hasn't missed. in this step ladder round, and he doesn't miss here either, neither against Van Damme nor against Shahid, as he failed to convert a spare. His nerve held, and now with this bonus ball, he just needs 6 pins to lock and key the game. Well, we saw him put the first one down in the 9th and record 4, so is that going through his mind right now, I wonder? He'll take all the time he can to get it absolutely right, sets himself for the shot, and needs no more than that to go past Ian Shahid, who's up quickly to congratulate the American. And the man from Syracuse, New York, now based in Paris, France, is through with a finishing score of 2-2-6. That 9, the bonus ball in the 10th, is enough to put him beyond the reach of Ian Shahid, who with 3 strikes in the 10th can finish with 2-2-2. So you see there just how important that bonus shot of Sposato's was. And that 10-pin, he made it look easy, but I can tell you that it certainly wasn't. It was the real pressure shot for Sposato, and it was there to undo all the good work he's done in qualifying, coming through the round robin, and qualifying in 3rd place behind the 2 British players. The strike at the top of the 10th coming a little too late now for the Londoner. Ian Shahid will look back and rue that open in the 7th. There it is. And up to that point, he was just keeping tabs on Sposato. But now, whatever he does with the last 2 in the 10th, it's not going to be enough. And sadly for us, we're not going to see an all-British final. It certainly would have been something to see those 2 adversaries, Ian Shahid and Phil Scammell, in head-to-head opposition. Scammell, the defending champion, really does enjoy coming to Lelystaad. This could be his last major tournament for quite some time, because his wife is expecting a baby, and Phil is looking to check out for the summer and take care of family matters. So he's going to look to go out on a high spot here, as indeed will Ian. He finishes with 220. And it's going to be a 3rd place finish for Ian Shahid at Lelystaad this year. No car for him to console the fact that Sposato's put him out of the tournament in front of the TV cameras, but a good finish here at the 9th Grand Prix of Lelystaad for Ian Shahid. Sposato, the man of the moment then, another big game for him, coming on the heels of the 2-4-8 against Van Damme, and he goes forward to meet defending champion Phil Scammell in the final match. Welcome back to Lelystaad. Down on the lanes then, it's the championship final for the Grand Prix of Lelystaad this year between defending champion Phil Scammell, the Hove accountant, and the American wonder boy Richie Sposato. I'm pretty sure in saying these 2 have never met before head-to-head. And like many people here in Holland this weekend, Scammell getting his first real look at Sposato's unique and so far devastating bowling style. However, in the final, Scammell is well and truly fired up to retain his crown. Won 12 months ago. Mickey Ross still alongside, offering support. All the British who travel to these European tournaments, great at getting behind each other. And although they'll be back in league action next week, and in direct opposition here, they all group together. And Ross is offering support to Scammell at the moment. Doesn't look as if he needs it. And although we see Sposato there with a strike of his own, he's opened up in frame 2 when he misses the 4-7. He had a big split there, 3-4-6-7 in frame 2. And he also opened up in the 3rd as well when he missed a simple 10-pin as the pressure got to Sposato, the man from New York State, in this, his first major final in front of the TV cameras over in Europe. Commutes at the moment between business commitments in Paris and the United States, where, as we said, there's a great deal of interest being shown in this man's revolutionary bowling ball design, the buzzsaw. And he puts a lot of thought into ball construction and ball drilling. He's one of those players that understands more than most the science, the mechanics of the ball function and the importance of the weight block and the design, the materials used. And anything he picks up out here in tournament play is a bonus for a man who really looks to make his career from the development side of the ball manufacturing game. So the two opens here in the first part of this match leave Scammell with a clear advantage. He had a 2-pin conversion in the first, and since then it's been strikes all the way for the 29-year-old. Proved in the last 12 months with the win here in Lelystaad, and with that big shot at the end of the Brunswick Team Invitational when he needed all 10 to take the title of the inaugural Brunswick Team Invitational at Enfield. For he and his partner, that he had what it took in the clutch situation. People always said that Phil was a man who couldn't do it when the chips were down. 6th frame, and it's 5 in a row, 5 up for Scammell. Let's have a look at his 5-step approach. Very much a conventional bowling style. He's a big man, but gets good deep knee bend, and there's plenty of power in that right arm. So, looking good. The man who finished in first position at the end of the round robin. And just making sure in the meantime, while Van Damme and Sposato were going through their paces, that he didn't go cold, that the muscles stayed relaxed. He stayed tuned in to winning this tournament for the 2nd successive year. Wants to go out on a high note before taking a mid-season break. Well, Sposato may be having problems with the lane conditioning, which does dry out very quickly once the TV lights get to work. And that could be the problems at the moment, as once again he's left himself a big split here to contend with. 2, 4, 6, 10. Oh, very close indeed to another spectacular conversion. Doesn't take down the 10. Some of the crowd thought he had. And that leaves him with a score of only 80 after frame 5. 9 there in the 6th, 89, and Scammell is already with a 5-bagger running, looking as if he's in an invincible position right now. 2 big splits, 3 opens from the first 6 frames for the American. We haven't had a British winner on the Dutch Masters Tour this year. We've had one American, that was Larry Schultz, the airman from the Ramstein Air Base over there in Germany, but he plays so much of his competitive bowling in Europe, we almost tend to think of Larry as an honorary European. So looking good now for Scammell, and it'll be the first British name on the winners rostrum in this year's Dutch Masters Tour. Has had a 2.57 here this weekend, not as good as his opponent, but Phil has saved it up for the big one where it matters in the final match of the tournament. Never mind what you did out on day 1. In qualifying, this is the one that matters. And the first loose shot from Scammell in frame 7. That's a 2, 4, 8, 10 to work out. Well, hit the head pin, which just slid off left into the gutter and disappeared down behind the deck, and gave him absolutely nothing to work with there at all. It happens sometimes. Looked to be a good pocket shot on the way down. So he opens in the 7th. Wry smile from Scammell on the way back. Can it all go wrong over the last 3 frames? Well, something like a 70-pin advantage at this point. Sposato sees a glimmer of hope, checks on the score and thinks, well, maybe not. Put that behind you quickly, Scammell, in frame 8. Get back to putting down all 10, and you can start to dream about putting your hands on the trophy again. Now he has the bucket. Well, I can only assume that the lane conditioning is drying out here and causing the players to make some belated adjustments to the game. And once again, that head pin just flies out left and gives him no pin reaction at all. Might have expected that really to come back off the wall. And the bucket is the result. Scammell still can't afford to relax, and this is a difficult spare. Throws it hard. 2 in a row. Strange things happening down here on the lanes at Lelystaad, and the crowd absorbed in this one now, because we've seen an exhibition of power bowling from Sposato last 2 games out. He's lost it at the crucial time in the final, and now suddenly through 7 and 8, Scammell too, finding that the world of 10-pin bowling can be a very, very strange affair. Now that was a big shot for Richie. He did need to come in with a strike there. Hasn't had one since the 5th. A double through 4 on 5. In fact, had a strike in the 7th, excuse me, between the 2 opens in 6 and 8. Oh, that surely must spell the end now for the American. It's a 6-9, but he's, as you see here, the ball's on the way down. The one at the back is the 9, but he's missed the leading pin, the 6, chops it off. And a 1-1-7 scoreline at the end of the 8th frame. Well, the maximum now he can hope for is 1-7-7 by striking out. And Scammell at the end of the 8th already has 1-7-3. So he's going to leave himself with the cushion of needing just 6 pins from 2 frames. 1 strike in the 9th and another 3 in the 10th means 1-7-7 is surely not going to be a championship winning score here for Sposato. And that only if he gets all 3 in the 10th. So 2 opens in 7 and 8. What a luxury for Scammell. Did all the hard work from frames 2 down to 6 with a 5-bagger. And he knows that just anything at all down the middle here will be good enough. And all 10 gives you your winner for 1992. The defending champion makes it 2 in a row, comes back to successfully defend his title here in Lelystaad. And that's never happened before in year 9 of this competition. So at last we have a British winner on the Dutch Masters Tour this year. And who better than Britain's #1 ranked bowler, Phil Scammell from Hove. Represented his country at the World Cup last year in Beijing, China. At the top of the 10th, everything now is merely a formality, and I'm sure Phil knows that the time has come to relax and enjoy the moment, as any minute now he can soak up the applause and step forward to reclaim the trophy he's held for the last 12 months. And along with that trophy, a very handy cheque indeed for 55,000 Dutch guilders. We'll fill out in the 10th now with a bonus ball. A strike here would give him a final score of 2-1-3, and he'll be thankful that that's more than enough on the day to see off the challenge of Richie Sposato. 2-1-3 may not have been enough had Sposato kept going in the form he showed in the last 2 stepladder games. But he's run out of strikes and perhaps just run out of luck as the lane conditions dry and work against the big hooking style of the man from Syracuse, New York. And Scammell defends his title successfully here in Lelystaad. Let's hear from Phil.
The game's never over until you can actually shut him out, and I'm always looking at the opponent striking out and having enough so I could beat him. So I couldn't really see the scores of what was going on. But when I struck in the 9th frame, I knew then it was over and I could relax a bit more.
Well done, Phil. 2-1-3, 1-5-6 was the final score there in the championship match. And Phil Scammell records the first British win on the Dutch Masters Tour this year, coming in tour stop number 8. An emphatic and worthy winner here at Lelystaad. Really does like the lanes down here in Holland. The title holder for the 2nd successive year, Phil Scammell there, top of the standings, and the 5,000 Dutch guilders to Phil Scammell of Britain. Richie Sposato in 2nd place, getting between Scammell and Ian Shahid In fourth place, the Belgian Van Damme, and fifth, the Dutch bowler André Gressert. So the standings in the Dutch Masters Tour still make it very much a clean sweep for the host nation in both men's and ladies' events. Hope you've enjoyed our coverage here from Lelystaad this weekend. Defending champion and champion once again in 1992, Britain's Phil Scammell.